Yes, hello tradies. Time for Just Quickly. It is Mitch's segment and we've got some prizes to give away. So over the next 7 weeks, we've got 7 $150 Melbourne Park vouchers to be used at St Andrews Beach Brewery. $150. So you can basically take the whole family and friends, buy them lunch or dinner before the game, a couple of pints. So if you're in Melbourne or you plan to come for a visit, get those Just Quicklies in.
We met a couple of boys from Adelaide too on the weekend who had driven from Adelaide to Melbourne for a weekend of footy. They played golf at Port Fairy on the way. Or maybe I only met them. Maybe you were off busy doing other things.
Oh, no, I met the guys from Shep.
Yeah.
They got the train. And
Big tradies fans.
Do a gig afterwards. Actually, a lot of people have stopped me and said they've tried the brewery because of the pod.
Awesome.
And are going back, so that's great. Firstly, we'll go to Chris.
Hey boys, just quickly, I wanted to hear your thoughts on the NRL's expansion into Perth now that it's looking like that will officially go ahead. And do you think the AFL will do anything to combat it? Myself, I grew up in Brisbane. I've lived in Tassie and also Perth and now in Newcastle. And I can safely say out of all the places I've lived, Perth has had the least interest of the NRL, even though they insist on having games there every year. I attended matches there at Optus Stadium and they maybe half filled the stadium, but not a single person there really knew what was going on. It was fascinating. There was limited applause and whatnot. So I don't think the AFL has any issues, but do you think the AFL will do anything to combat it? Would love to hear your thoughts. Cheers.
It's a good question. I don't think the AFL need to worry too much about it. I'm told there's a big English community in Perth, which might be able to attract. That's why they always used to have rugby union games over in Perth.
That would make sense given the geography.
Yeah. So, and they're not going to play most of their games at Optus. It'll be mostly at where Perth Glory play.
Yep.
Is it Perth Stadium? NIB Stadium?
Perth Glory. Perth Glory. Perth Glory. Perth Glory. Perth Glory. Remind me of Perth Glory.
Shane Smelts. Did he play for them?
What sport?
Scotty?
What sport are we talking about?
You know full well.
Oh, the A-League. Is that still going?
Congratulations to Auckland FC for being the premiers.
Premiers of what?
The A-League.
When?
Just this weekend. In terms of not the premier, they've just
hang on. I'm being serious here.
The regular season.
The minor premiers.
Did the minor premiers actually get announced on the A-League over the weekend?
Yeah.
Tell me. Look at me in the eye. Mitchell, look at me in the eye. Did you know that?
No.
Thank you. That's all. That's all I need.
But I'm in footy mode.
It's the worst advertised league in the history of sport. In the history of sport.
Yeah, Football Australia has got a lot to do. I agree with that.
But it's good that they're going into Perth. They've got a stadium already.
Yes.
So that's one tick as opposed to what Tassie is embarking on.
Thank you for your question. Chris, let's go to Nick.
G'day, Mitch and Sam. One of those long-time, first-time is here. Just quickly, heard an interesting fact the other week. A young GWS player, Harvey Thomas, only played 23 games, but he's played at 12 different AFL venues. Now, that's in contrast to someone like Scott Pendlebury, who's played over 400 games, but only played at 11 different AFL venues. Now, as a St Kilda supporter, we played 3 times in the first 5 or 6 rounds at Adelaide, or in Adelaide, which I don't think is very fair, but them's the rules, them's the breaks. Do the AFL look after the bigger clubs? Because out of those 400 games that Scott Pendlebury's played, 256 of them have been at the MCG. Now, I know Collingwood's home base is the MCG, but do they get looked after by not making those sort of teams travel as much as they used to, or is it just a bias that we are focusing on? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Cheers.
Thanks, Nick. We love a first-time, long-time, or a long-time, first-time. Yeah, I mean, the simple answer is yes, they do get looked after.
They get looked after because for the economics of the league, they have to be looked after. Sydney always used to request Collingwood at Homebush because they're going to fill it. You're not going to send St Kilda up there to do that.
Collingwood are the team that get 70,000 people to play Fremantle on a Sunday afternoon at the G. You know, like they are the Real Madrid of...
Gather round. They're never playing at the Barossa. They're never playing at Norwood.
No.
The Giants have ticked off all those. It's just the way it works.
Yeah, and I understand if you're a second tier or more of a niche club and you're a fan of one of those clubs, you're always starting behind the 8 ball. Totally understand that. The answer to that is to try to get as high up on the ladder as you can.
Yeah.
To shout from the rooftops. From Nick to Rick.
Hey guys, massive fan and love all of your work. Just quickly, how do teams like Geelong keep getting these players out of nowhere who become superstars and become great role players, like Manor, Humphreys, etc. I was at the game yesterday with my mate, and I'm watching these guys run around, and I can't believe Geelong keep doing this. Do they draft particularly for a certain skill set, as in they look for kicking or they look for aerobic capacity or something, and then they develop the other skills? Because they always seem to do it every couple years where other clubs are falling behind in that area. And also, and unrelated just quickly, I saw Sammy walking through the crowd at the MCG after the game. He looked a bit too busy to have a chat with me, but I was going to yell out to him and say, "Go Blues, what a win." Thanks, boys.
Thanks, Rick. You should have come over and said hello.
Sam's always up for a chat.
Yes, that's true. Particularly after a Carlton win. Few and far between.
Geelong, I just think it helps when you're drafting a player and you're starting in an established good team. You know, if Sean Manor or Lawson Humphreys played for Richmond or West Coast right now, they wouldn't look anywhere near the players they are. So Geelong come in.
Development.
It's much easier walking into a team, you know, that back line at Geelong for Lawson Humphreys to walk into. If he had to walk into another back line where he's going to get bombarded. And
wasn't he playing waffle twos?
Yeah, he played a bit of waffle ones and waffle twos a year before he got picked up.
That's amazing.
Eagles Academy player.
But Sean Manor kicked 6 goals. Sean Manor kicked 6 goals in a VFL Grand Final. So everyone had seen that.
Yeah, they just keep, there's something about Geelong that they know how to pick them, but they also know how to develop them. All right, thank you, Rick. Patrick.
G'day, boys. Just quickly, hope you're doing well, but I wonder what your guys' positions are on Richmond's salary cap positions moving into free agency in the draft this year. They've had a lot of big names kind of wash away. The potential looming retirement of Prestia. Lynch, big deal, probably over. Maybe he gets half the salary he's on, or 1.5 or whatever it's reported to be. Do they have much wiggle room this year? And will they be a player in this year's free agency? Cheers, boys. Have a good one.
That's a good question for Patrick.
Yeah. We've sort of swept this under the carpet a bit, haven't we?
Well, they've got money to do whatever they really want.
Yeah.
But they're not an attractive side right now.
No, it's a bit like the Chad Warner conversation. He signs with Sydney for 2 more to let West Coast develop. I don't think if you're a high-end player, you're going to be running towards Richmond at the moment.
No, which
but give them
a few years ago they were at the top of that tree.
Look at Hopper and Taranto.
Yep.
So in terms of the highest paid players right now, those guys will be up there. As he mentions, Tom Lynch comes off his big contract, so he's out of contract this year. Dion Prestia out of contract. They're not paying a heap of guys. They'd be struggling to hit their 95% minimum right now.
Yeah, you could give Lawler a big deal.
Yeah,
front-end him.
And these guys are all on capped deals. So Lawler and these guys, all these draftees are on capped 2 and 3 year deals. So,
geez, Lawler looks good.
What I would say is, we were saying similar about Hawthorn a few years ago when they had their dip, and Carl Amon sort of started the. Remember, we all thought
Yep.
they were going to struggle for a few years. So, is there a Carl Amon out there for Richmond that they can hang their hat on and go and target a free agent or target a 24-year-old that can turn the tide a bit? That could be something to keep an eye on.
Thanks, Patrick. Angus.
G'day, gents. First time, long time. Just quickly, been following Jamar's finding himself journey on Instagram as he's got his time away from the club, and being a diehard Bulldogs fan, I'm pretty passionate about it. Just checked it. He's attended a class at Pulse 8 Conditioning or something along those lines, and on the Instagram page, the only mutual follower I have is the only Mitch Cleary. So I'm just wondering if it's New Year, new Mitch, or if it's Mitch really trying to get to the bottom of the story and get the source for where Jamar is going to end up next year. Love the pod.
That is. Can I give Angus a voucher?
Yeah.
Okay, Angus, you're getting a $150 Melbourne Park voucher to spend at St Andrews Brewery.
So we're giving vouchers away for trolling my Instagram.
That is amazing.
I was half zoned out there. So was he saying that I follow the place where Jamara goes?
Yeah, Pulse 8.
So I did a story at that place with Braden Maynard and Jeremy Howe a couple of years ago when they were training there in the pre-season.
Oh, I see.
It's in Moorabbin.
What is it? Is it a high altitude place?
Yeah, but they do like high performance training and like specific speed stuff and all those sort of things.
So it's a specialised training centre, essentially.
Maybe I need to go down at 4:25 in the morning and get Jamar at one of these sessions.
So was he taking the piss when he said kick-ons?
I think he's taking the piss in terms of the kick-ons. He was at the gym session.
Right, so they weren't kick-ons. That was the start of his day, not the end.
I don't know what happened before 4:20.
Not sure. I wouldn't want to know. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Yeah, Jamar is fascinating, isn't he? Fascinating. We'll finish with Ed.
G'day, boys. Just quickly, on Saturday, I had my local footy game as always, and I arrive to the ground. And about 15 minutes after getting there, I see someone walking over from the other side. And I'm thinking to myself, who is that? But it is no other than Sam McClure. Now, all of us boys are thinking to ourselves, what's Sam McClure doing here on a random thirds Div 4 game? Why is he here? But our coach informs us he's coming to be the assistant for the day, assistant coach. Oh. Yeah, before the game, he made it known that he was a 2-time premiership player. Just to pump up his own tyres, I reckon. Onto his coaching. On the magnets, he was good, moving around the positions. Brought the vibes. It was good energy. But tactically, I reckon there's some room for improvement. Granted, the other team did forfeit, and we just played a bit of a scratch match, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, just wanted to let everyone know. Love the pod, boys. Great work. Cheers.
I think we gave the voucher away too quickly. We needed to wait. So hang on. You've gone through the whole story on the weekend about how you took Diva down and you cursed Xavier, and you failed to mention that you were down there in a coaching capacity.
Just helping out.
Oh.
Just helping out.
Were you more active on the board or less active than when you were guiding Bailey Smith through his under-18
I was just doing whatever I needed to do to help the team out. That's all. Just filling in my Saturdays.
I forgot to mention this as well. Did you... This is so random. I got a message. This
will be good.
Spotted Sammy at the brewery. This is Thursday night, pre-game. Can you ask him about his get-up? Harley Davidson shirt, knee-high white socks.
Where they were not knee-high. And they're clubby sport socks.
Okay, not knee-high.
They were shin-high. But yes, I was wearing long white socks.
Thanks, Stu. I just had to check that.
I get very uncomfortable when Mitch starts texting me about what I'm wearing as I'm wearing it. like a camera on me. Thank you for the Just Quicklies, and well done to Angus for trolling Mitch's Instagram and getting himself a $150 Melbourne Park voucher. All right, stay tuned for the Air Raid.